Hello guys, in this video we'll be going over how you can make a basic API call with your SwiftUI app. For this video we'll be using the OMDB API, which is a movie search API that allows you to search about different movies that you might like. So to do that, I'm over at the OMDB website, which is omdbapi.com/apikey.aspx. So you can visit that page and fill in your information, whether you want the Patron access, which is I think a paid access, or a free access that offers you 1000 request daily limit. You put in your email, your name, and what you're using the API for. So when you do that, you should get an email detailing your API key and how you can use the API. So I'm going to just try this in my own Postman to show you what the response looks like. So I'll pull up Postman and paste my link here. So that's the first link inside of your email. Pasted it in my Postman, and then add the search query, which is and s equals any query you want. So I'm going to use runner as my search query, then send. So in the results, I see search results, an array of objects, Blade Runner 2049, the Maze Runner's Court Trials, and so on. So we're going to display this list in our SwiftUI application. So if I go back to my Xcode, I'm going to create a new Xcode project, an iOS app. So make sure you're under iOS app. So if you have an existing app, no problem. So I'll call this API call. So you can call it whatever you want, and you can do the same with an existing app. So create that. Now after creation, the first thing I want to work on is my model, which will help pass the data that I get from the API call. So I'll create a new file here, a new Swift file. I'll call it data model. Create. Now inside of data model, I'm going to create a struct called IMDb search response, and to conform to decodable, and the only value inside of this response is a search key which contains an array of objects. Now if we go back to Postman and we copy this to here and we paste it here. Now you see search has an array of movie objects. So let's just call this movie object, which is the content of the search array. So we also now need another struct saying movie object. And it also conforms to decodable. Now let the title, we're going to declare all the variables we have inside of this place here also. So let the title be a string. Let the year be a string also. Let the IMDb ID, just copy and paste, be a string. So they're all strings. The type be a string, and the poster be a string. So this type is going to cause some conflict, so we're going to have to use this here, to prevent it from conflicting with someone trying to say movie object dot type. So to prevent this from because type would be trying to get the type of the movie object and not the type value that we have here. So we need to specify that this is a type value so it doesn't conflict. So after declaring this, we move back to our content view. So I'm just trying to get it running. So while it's running, let's just start writing up. So we need some state variables that will help us walk through our UI. So I think the first state variable we need is the loading variable, which will tell us if our system is loading or not. For loading, so loading is a boolean and the default is false. So what is going on? Okay, let's give it a minute. Okay, now that it's up and running. Okay, so loading is defaults to false, and we need another state for our search query that we pass in. Default to an empty string, and we need a state that holds the list of movies. And we initialize it to an empty array of movie lists. And then we need a state that holds our API key. So if you didn't get an API key, you can use mine, but it's limited to 1,000 a day. So I suggest you get yours. So I'm going to take my API key, go back here, paste it. Okay, this could be a var actually. It doesn't have to be a state, since it's just fixed. And finally, we need a state that says done. False. So this tells us whether or not the API call has been completed. So now we want to update our UI to have what we need to make the call. So we need a text field first, where someone can input the search query and then get what they want. So enter a movie title, and the text value will be updating our query our search query state. So we just give it some padding of 30 here. We'll also give it some justification, some alignment to center. So any text you type in it will be in the center. And then we need a button. The action of this button will be to make the API call. But for now, we don't have that function, so you leave it as it is. But the text should be search. And then we need to apply some styling to it. So let's just do some basic stuff. Font weight bold. Foreground color dot white. Padding of 20. And a left-right padding, which in this case will be leading and trailing of 30. So for the button, we need a background where the color is blue. And we also need a corner radius for around 15. So I'll resume that for a minute. Let's see what we've done so far. Okay, so there's an issue, view text width. Okay, so everything should be inside of a VStack. Yeah, so this is what we have so far. Now the next thing we want to do is toggle between the loading and the not loading state. So I'm going to say if not loading here, when it's not loading, we want to show the button. But when it's loading, which will be the else, we want a text saying loading. So that way you can tell whether it's loading or it's not loading. So if I have this as true here, you can see this is showing up, which says loading. And if I have it as false, because it's false now, you have the button. So the next thing we do is we write our list that will show us the search results. So when you make the call to search, a list will be populated that shows the search results. So the next thing we add now, okay, first let's add a spacer so that everything gets pushed to the top. Yeah. Now let's add the movie list. Yes, movie list, and search button. So to add the movie list, we need to check first, do we have any movies in our array? Check if the count is greater than 0. That's the first thing. So if the count is actually greater than 0, then we want a scroll view. Scroll view gets populated using a for each statement. This for each statement takes the movie list with the ID generated from the IMDb ID, and for each movie in our movie list, we want a text to show telling us the title. So movie.title. So dot, let's just align that, multi-line, text alignment, yeah. So dot center also. So let's have that as leading. Yeah, so when there are movies in the list, we get a loop that gives us a list of all the titles in our movies list. So another scenario would be if movie list dot count is equal to 0 and done equal to true. Then we want a text saying no movies found. So if we run our search and movies are not found, then we want to also indicate that there are no movies found.